The whole world is praising my president today. Maybe if I say the whole world, I'm exaggerating a bit, but yes. His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, at least some notable people are more criticizing and leaders in Africa airborne abaso wende. Na nini na ejina speech a wakokoma ewo UN. Nokwari eni nyamie nimni. His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, listening to him gave me goosebumps. The man's knowledge on affairs in Ghana, in Africa, in the world at large. Easy. Mahama won. You say Mahama me ma fan say book. Mahama me ma fan say book. I say nya mi sua sa papa no. Say nya mi sua no no. Wo de mu nim. Mahama me wo de mu be one day mu be mi sua papa no rough. Now, I'm going to go into summary of Nsemwa Wakanya. We are going to read the transcript of what he said. DNTR, we are seeing in airborne abaso. DNTR, Africa for airborne abaso. DN no koko kanye, ewo UN, assembly asia, obia airborne abaso. We are going to go into it. And then, first time I subscribe, now click the notification bell on so. We are the latest news be about one sabeka. Now, answer your better ask on the message. Obi bia wotie me bia wo efu kese se wefu so a efu kese yare efu kese e di stroke nenam efu kese e di diabetes enenam bisa doctor bia wo beka trel na nini na ne se there is a book in the comment box nyama miensa ene wo book nim na auto book ni bi na utumi ye nyama miensa na wo book ni mu a mema 1 month se wefu no anko form a bra na bra beji usika na odi to book no bra na bra beji mema 1 month so wudi nyama wo book ni nyama miense wo book ni mo. If you want details of the book, you can call me or WhatsApp me on 055-807-4986. Book no ni PDF form wo ho ebetumi asene ama wo WhatsApp ana ni tree video e wo ho so woni makenkan a obetumi agye no so na wakan. Now yan konsem ni mu. So let's do a summary of what His Excellency John Dramani Mahama talked about. Now, the first key points, the speech of Africa and the place of Africa in the UN. On say UN for war impiniophobia Africa Caribbean UN security no. Omu mitia na African country be nim. Now His Excellency John Dramani Mahama spoke against that. What say Africa is the future. Or catcher our congregation say Africa in the future is the future, and indeed it is right. OSHA statistics, any Africa, your age, any your youthfulness, any your population, indeed in Brofofone say Africa is the future. Inti Mahama say if Africa is the future, the ende ye take decisions I am pesi de Africa, especially serious decisions Africa na country bianca home. So summary nini, Mahama begins by noting that Africa had a minimal role in the founding of the UN. Of the original 51 member states in 1945, only 4 were African: Egypt, Ethiopia, Liberia, South Africa. He argues that though Africa's earlier participation was marginal, its future role in global affairs will be decisive. According to UN projections, by 2050, over 25% of world's population will be African, and 1/3 of all youth aged 15 to 24 will be on the continent. Intuition statistics are Mahama de Baya. By 2050, see ye fa wiase nyina na ye chemu 4 baako ebe free Africa. Na ewiase nyina nkola wo mo di 15 ana mbebu na wo mo di 15 to 24 ye chemu mu miensa baako be free Africa. So Africa is indeed the future. Into say he emphasizes that the future is Africa. Into we no kasa about Ghana's the most domestic achievements and the reset agenda. Into the Ghana the any femu embra wo bae baby ana city no wo embra wo bae baby ana eye inflation ewa ende baby ana ban ede ababedu. What you saying? So say Mahama describes Ghana's economic challenges on beginning his current term: high inflation, currency depreciation, debt burden, low morale. He outlines the government's reset agenda to recalibrate the economy, restore stability, and boost competitiveness. Also, within 8 months, inflation was reduced from 23.8% to 11.5%, and the Ghana cedi appreciated. He knows that Ghana's sovereign credit rating has improved, and that the 24-hour economy initiative aims to transform the nation's economic dynamics. Into ena or calling for reform in global institutions. Sisia UN no omonya reset. Ghana ya sha ye reset. Into UN munya reset na mo reset no afe monfa Africa enka UN Security Council because UN Security Council there is no African country. Osi Mahama insists the UN itself needs a reset and recalibration to match contemporary realities, especially given how many more countries now exist compared to 1945. He calls for restructuring of the UN Security Council, including a permanent seat with veto for Africa, restrictions or oversight over the use of veto power, mechanisms from the General Assembly to challenge vetoes. He also argues for reform of the global financial architecture, which he sees as biased against Africa. And so here, global financial architecture, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama waka ho asemo a waka say eye biased. Okay, the global financial architecture no, it is biased against Africa. So they need to start doing reform on it. Oria no kasa about international and humanitarian issues. So Mahama spoke on Gaza. And you see, it looks like His Excellency John Dramani Mahama are buying. I know that the Israelis are not happy, but His Excellency John Dramani Mahama has taken a stance. And the stance is that Israel for Adia Wamoya wa Gaza no, a criminal. This is not the only time. And the fact that His Excellency John Dramani Mahama has spoken on it, UN, in front of Impenyufo no, Utumihune say yes, Ghana has taken a stance. Not to say that we are supporting Gaza or Gaza ni Israel for no, yen yetai Gaza echi dabi. But the war can say Israel for a ye, mwekunipa a ye. Into say Palestine, Gaza, he calls for an end to the crimes in Gaza, saying they must stop. He expresses concern over Sudan, describing the situation as the world's largest humanitarian crisis, with 12 million displaced. Into Sudan, ehonso okanwasem. He highlights the link between climate change, migration, and inequality. Global North emits far more greenhouse gases, yet the Global South suffers worse effects. He rejects normalizing cruelty, xenophobia, and racism, and insists on telling the full truth about migrants and refugees. On say adia bakwa embrofofo asha asiaye, and they say they are fighting against migrants. It be before ya pamemo munko mukrum. And His Excellency John Dramani Mahama spoke against that. And it is not only America. In fact, Africa baby as even in Ghana, Nigeria fonko mukrum, we fonko mukrum, and all that. So Mahama is speaking against all those things. Or say, let us tell the full truth about migrants and refugees. In Tiahokra, Okoti example of Kofi Annan, Okoti example of California, or my first black judge, or ye Ghanani. Say all these people were migrants. So tell their stories too. And your migrants now, or mobabedi bonene pen na waka or moasem, can will be asem. He also spoke on reparations and colonial legacy. He calls the transatlantic slave trade the greatest crime against humanity and says Ghana intends to table a motion to that effect at the UN. Into slave trade no see no, or say the greatest crime. Na Ghana ye be shasye a intend a table to yɛbɛhyɛ ase intend emotion ɛwɔ UN hɔ say UN engine tum say slave trade no it was the greatest crime against humanity. Into owie ɛno ɔkasa about Mahama invokes the idea of the UN as a town square of the global community, a space where nations convene. He calls for stronger representation of women, including urging the appointment of a woman as a UN Secretary General. He congratulates Ghana's Vice President. And he congratulates Ghana's Vice President, Nana Akufo-Addo, as the first woman Vice President, suggesting this symbolizes potential for girls and women. He closes by expressing hope for a more just world and thanking the Assembly by for their attention. Into here, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama short essay and say make us a summary of nsɛm a wɔde to dwa no. It was just about 20 minutes but very impactful. Na owie no na nkrofo say yay papa yi wa ya de Oliver Baka asɛm a ɔbɛkan ne say JM spoiled there or see JM spoiled there with that UN speech. Good job. Akagalamsi. Richard Sky say we need Richard Sky there. Him say Mahama ichi pa over the removal of Chief Justice Gertrude Torkornoo no. On say Richard Sky na down for pan ne lawyer ne Afenyo Markin so ne ma me ne Gertrude Torkornoo nti Richard Sky so ye kan ne ma me prekope ene Gertrude Torkornoo. Ti Torkornoo nsɛm wa bɔ Mahama chi rough. But ono kra kasa or say President John Mahama wrote and delivered a truly beautiful and powerful UNGA speech that puts Ghana on the international map for all the good reasons. As an African, I felt proud watching him to do the do. Let's do this again soon. So I say Mahama kasa or kasa eno. Wama ebi before ya proud because he talked about all the right things. In semwa AC ewo wiasimu ninano obone tofa atiase. So His Excellency John Dramani Mahama has made Ghana proud. He has made Africa proud with his speech awokoko mai ewo UN. Montre mwaji wa comment box ni momedase.